Legacy Foundation is Lake County's community foundation. For over 30 years, we've partnered with donors and nonprofits, focusing on youth development, the arts, the environment, health, literacy, and other causes that matter to you. We're committed to Lake County forever. First Things First Porter County is dedicated to supporting families, healthy beginnings, and quality early learning, ensuring every Porter County baby is born prepared for a strong start in life. Learn more at firstthingspc.org.
I have a very strong connection to other students. Everyone makes an effort to help each other. I'll remember the feeling of being here, the feeling that I was a part of a family.
Additional support for Building Blocks is provided generously by Tom Sorlis and Sue Eleuterio, as well as Porter County Community Foundation, serving Porter County since 1996.
Building Blocks, the podcast, is a co-production of Lakeshore Public Media and First Things First Porter County. For more information on Building Blocks, including this podcast, as well as the television show, visit lakeshorepublicmedia.org/buildingblocks.
Hi, I'm Mary Jane Eisenhower, and I'm here today with Erika Robinson-Watkins, and we're here to talk about the first 1,000 days. Welcome to Building Blocks. Good morning, Erika.
Good morning.
Hi, Erika. Excited to have you here to talk about your journey into early education. And I'm just wondering if you can start by telling us your current role and how you got there.
Good morning. I am so grateful to be here and have this opportunity. I am just, if you could only see the inside of my body and how excited it is, I am working hard to keep my composure. So I'll start there. I've been, right now, I work for Lisa Safe Haven Childcare LLC, and I get to work with and for my sister, and that's really remarkable work that we've been able to do. I've been with her since really 2000. I moved back home from Atlanta, and I just kind of watched her work evolve. I always say that she was given the vision, and I was placed and made to come back home, even though I didn't want to come back home from Atlanta, to kind of help her propel into who we are now. And so we've been doing it about 27 years in total. Well, she's been doing it. I've jumped on board about 2000. And now I have evolved. I started as a classroom teacher with her, saw what things she needed help with, and now I carry that title that I'm uncomfortable saying all the time, the Chief Operating Officer. And my job really is just to oversee all of our sites. We have 3 childcare homes and 3 childcare centers in Northwest Indiana.
And tell me more about Lisa Safe Haven and centers, homes. What does that entail?
Okay, so my sister was actually married and had 3 children, and she was working as a secretary, and so she realized that there was a need. Her infant son, at the time, he'll be turning 28, so we usually mark the years of the business based off of his age, and he didn't digest his formula well, and she kept saying, I really have to quit working. And I'm thinking, you can't quit working. Like, we didn't come from our parents staying at home or what that looked like to have a mother at home. Our grandmother was at home, but she was always busy. So to us, it felt like work, even though she was like an at-home nanny for many families, but it didn't click until later. And so she said, it's too much to have to go home every day to see about him. And so she just slowly kept her children home. Community noticed, started asking her to keep children, and it just turned into what we now know as childcare. And so we lived in the homes and eventually got pushed out of the homes until we had an upstairs location downstairs, and then the home next door became available. Then a childcare across town closed, and we went there, and then another childcare closed, and we went there. And then in 2021, we opened the 6th location, which are all NACE accredited, and so we're really excited about the work we've been doing.
So that NACE, so National Association of the Education of Young Children, that accreditation is the gold standard.
Yes.
So congratulations to you. That's not an easy process. It's not an inexpensive process, but it's so important for parents and families to have that trust in the quality of care that you are providing for the youngest ones. About how many children are you serving?
Ooh, so I should know that number. Like it should roll off my tongue. I know our largest site holds 220, and right now we have about 150 at that location. Each of our homes have 36, so I'm at about 156-ish right now, and then another site has about 50, so a little bit over 200.
That's quite a few children that are having this wonderful experience under the direction of your sister, but also with you as chief operating officer. And I know that may feel uncomfortable to you, but it's so important to understand that this is a business and the business of serving families and children. So tell me a little bit about your background that has helped you to become the best chief operating officer.
Well, in my early years, I thought I wanted to be a nurse. Realized that was quickly changed after sitting out of school for a year. And I was in between really just making the decision, what is next for Erika? The opportunity became available for me to attend college in Atlanta. And that's where I majored in early childhood education. But that year that I set out from school, I was a paraprofessional in the school community. I'm born and raised East Chicago. And so that's when I got my first impulse in what education really could be for me, starting as a tutor and then serving as a paraprofessional right at that transitional time in life. And so I said, I think I want to be a teacher, only to learn that my dad, who had passed away when I was 9, always wanted me to be a teacher. But my mother would never tell me that because she knew that I would just go in that direction just because. And so she cried when I said, I think I'm supposed to be a teacher. And so she bawled, of course, and then I cried because once the correlation came together, I'm like, this is where I'm supposed to be. Majored in early childhood education, taught 4th grade. Then when I came home after my grandmother had an aneurysm in 2000, taught 9th through 12th grade as a social emotional teacher. So my paraprofessional work was in a special education classroom. So that was like another touch point for me. And then eventually completing my master's at IUN and then a second one at Ball State. And everything is education.
That's amazing and so inspirational when we think about it. When you think about the work that you provide or the support that you provide for families with the very littlest one, the infants and toddlers, tell us what that looks like, because we know that it's education and it's also care, and you really can't divide the two.
No, you can't. So before, even though my early childhood degree, it went up to 3rd grade, but there was no conversation really in those classes about infant toddler work. And so that forced me, well, I really wasn't forced. I wanted to go back, and I completed an infant toddler with Purdue. Well, I still say Purdue Calumet, but to do that work with Purdue. And then I also went to complete a CDA because I wanted to know what that world looked like. I realized that I was transitioning into this infant all the way up to adult because I did a couple years as an adjunct at Ivy Tech. And so you realize the work that you're doing and how powerful that is. But I fell in love really with the ECE work and really leaving, the public school system and adjuncting and realizing that we needed to pay attention to what I call the bottom level, the bottom work, which people may ignore or may not see the value or the importance of, but I think the world is getting it, how essential it is, how necessary it is for us to do this work early on, and really impacting with parents to see the value of that. We're in an urban community where our child cares are. They're in East Chicago, Hammond, and Griffith, and sometimes that connection isn't made with parents. Yes, you care for your children. Yes, you may even spoil them, but there's some work that we need to get in. And if we don't get it in time, it's not that we can't do it later. It's just harder. It's a little more difficult to get it done. But when you understand the value of the first 5 years, the value, and we even will press it to 8 sometimes, right? But when you understand the value of what we need to do as educators early on and provide that care through and through, we can impact generations after generation.
I couldn't agree more. I want to go back to what you said about the training that you've had. So in addition to your graduate work in early education, you've gone above and beyond to get this specialized work. So you mentioned the infant toddler certificate, and then you also mentioned the CDA, which is the Child Development Associate. Not to be confused with an associate's degree. We've got a lot of alphabet soup in our world, but the Child Development Associate and that infant toddler credential really do make you a true expert in the world of those first 1,000 days, 0 to 3. Tell us what you learned in those classes and how that compared to your work with those older students.
That was a game changer for me. That infant toddler work is because you often just look at children as just being there. nothing's happening. They're just sitting in their high chairs, or they're just sitting in their car seats or bouncers, and nothing's really happening. But that's when the work is really happening. The synapses are going off, and all the information that they're learning at such a young age is what's powerful. I don't know how to put it in words, what's happening, but I wish I could create a visual for parents to really understand how important the things that you say, the things that you do, the way that they're following you from location to location, that brain is being filled with so much information. And so when I went to do that work, I no longer just sat with babies and did my own thing and just set them in a place to make sure that they were quiet and safe while I was off doing whatever, whether it's on the computer or talking on the phone. I realized that put away those items and sit and literally talk to that child. I'm getting ready to go to the restroom. I'm getting ready to turn on the television. I'm literally talk by the end of the day. By the end of every day, if you work with infants and toddlers, you should be exhausted. If you are going home and you are not tired, you are not doing your job. Your voice should be gone and cracking. Your legs should be worn out.
10,000 steps.
Yes, all of it. Yes, you don't even have to leave your room and you can get 10,000 steps. But I realized the value of spending time, value of tummy time, the value of conversation, the proper conversation, because there's conversation going on, but the value of all of that and how much we are giving children in those early years you can't really put it into words. It's just the example. And trying to get parents to see that is where I find sometimes the harder work could be for us in our community. And that's where I've been really focusing the last year or so, trying to get parents to see that value.
To help families understand kind of that importance of what the brain architecture, how brains are being built, how the language is being developed and the new words are being absorbed. So
Absolutely.
Another piece, I think, to the building blocks that we really focus in on is that early relational health. Relationships are so critical to this work. And, every baby just needs one person who is madly crazy in love with them.
Yes.
Where you are now, maybe you can't remember 1,000 days into your life, but you probably can identify somebody who was that person for you. Tell us about that.
Oh, that would be my grandmother. Oh, that's easy. That was easy. My grandmother always believed in me, and so that was the reason why I left Atlanta so abruptly to come home, because I thought she needs me. Now it's my turn to really care for her, and she just kind of valued that. And I really cannot dismiss my Aunt Laverne. I walked in the building, and I got caught by Miss Maureen. I was taking a selfie, it was me and Mr. Rogers, on the picture there, and I smiled the moment I walked in the room, and then you see Big Bird. And you see, I think it was Cookie Monster or Elmo. You see them. They were really instrumental. My grandmother making sure that she shifted me in a way. I always say my mom was young when she had children at 14, 15, 16, 17. By the time she was 27, she was ready. And so here comes Erika. But my grandmother made sure that she cared for me and put me in a place where I was always going to be safe. My Aunt Laverne always made sure that Sesame Street was on. And so I felt like I was walking at home. I said, wait a minute, am I in the right place? So I felt at home, literally. I don't want to start singing my Mr. Rogers songs and all of those things, but that was a dynamic part for me. And I think that's where that seed of education may have been planted very early on because my aunt knew the value of education and putting me in a place where it just seemed like television. Now, they're getting too much media now. We didn't get that much then, but when she turned on Channel 11, that was a big deal.
So knowing that those seeds of those important people in your life are really deep within you, how are you helping parents and caregivers now find that within themselves to then share with their children?
Yeah, I love that. I really do love that question. What I do understand now, you see things different when you're an adult, and really trying to walk parents through, because I realized that they're on survival. And I didn't realize it then that my family was in our survival mode. When you're young and you just think everything is just, so perfect. And then you look back and you go, That's the power of therapy, and this is why I love. I tell people, get therapy. Like, it helps. Go, because I see things now that I didn't fully understand that make so much more sense. And so I know that our parents are in survival mode, and this is why I love early childhood. The thing is getting the right people in the door who are going to work with those children, because if our parents are missing it, at least they are getting it from the time they walk in our doors to the time they go home, and really trying to invest in what relationships look like for our children and for our families, because it's almost difficult to just care for children and dismiss that they are connected to a family, and trying to create those school family connections, those family engagement nights, and showing them the power of relationship, and being okay with putting your device down, and being okay with changing your radio station that it's not inappropriate music, because our children are intaking all of that and they are regurgitating that in the classroom, and we're going, no, not that word in the classroom, not that song in the classroom. So really building those relationships beyond the child, but really to the family, so that they can then we can kind of backpedal and reintroduce to them the value of their time that they have with their children. Even though you're in survival mode, this is a time that you cannot afford to miss. And this is a time when you really need to be focused in your children. And if that's not you, putting them in a place where they can get that.
When you talk about survival mode, you're really speaking to so many families who are struggling to find safe places to make ends meet. What are some of the barriers that you're seeing with your families, the families that you serve, to doing those kinds of things, to developing those healthy relationships with their children?
Yeah, you know what? I believe in being resourceful. So anywhere I see, this is why you know me as well as you do, is because I just started popping up in places where the conversations were, where the resources were, so that I can take them back. Because I do know that when you are just trying to make it from paycheck to paycheck, life to life, or whatever is happening, that really isn't your focus. You're not concerned about what those resources may be. And so bringing those in the forefront of families and saying, listen, this is what's available. Many times I make people go where they don't know that they should go, because they don't know that they need it. You don't know what you don't know until you just don't know, until somebody, I didn't know that. And so it's pushing them in places and providing them with resources and things that they need that can be life-changing. Now, that's not always easy, because when you are concerned about paying bills or making sure you feed your family, I find myself being that resource. If that means connecting them to a United Way, if that means connecting them to a food bank, if that means they're looking for a job, telling them about job fairs, always trying to be that source, that resource for our families, because they don't know they don't always know what they need at that moment that will take them to the next level where they need to be.
And I know you've become a trusted source. You really are trusted in the community, and the families really look to you. And I can tell you are just crazy, madly in love, not just with the children, but with those families.
I am.
And that's so critically important. I know you also play a role on a school board, a local school board, and so you're also seeing the fruits of some of this work that happens before children enter school. Tell us a little bit more about that transition from the world of early childhood education, ECE as you call it, into the formal school setting.
Oh, wow. So I've been on the school board. This is year 4. I'm with Valparaiso Community Schools. I'm really excited about that. I'm the vice president this year. And I'm not sure if that really means a whole lot, because for me, it's just to do the work. It's just the same way I feel about any title. And I don't feel like you really need a title to do the work, because when you're just naturally invested in people, and if children are your drive, I call my work my occupation. Everywhere I am, whether it is at work in the childcare, whether I'm in a classroom supporting a teacher, I feel like I'm in purpose. I am doing exactly what I'm supposed to do. And so now serving on the school board in Valparaiso and making that, it's just trying to bring that enlightenment. I know we've been talking about doing some early childhood work, some pre-K services in Valparaiso, and I keep, I'm in the back going, it's necessary, it's needed, and it really should not be overlooked. Many of our parents in our community, they're already valuable, and we always say parents are our first teachers, but it's just about the type of teachers the parents that we have, and making sure that they're given the right information. And so I think it's great being able to do my early childhood education work and then turn around and say, give yes, I or nay to whatever business that we need, but always keeping children in mind. I think that is the easy correlation, and the consistency that happens is because I'm always working for children or parents in some way or another. And so that going from ECE to a public school sector it's very much the same, but it's just also enlightening areas where people may not be as familiar because your work has always started at kindergarten. And I'm going, no, it's so much great work that needs to be done at 3 and 4 years old.
And even
earlier. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What are some of the lessons that you think our K-12 systems can learn from the infant and toddler classrooms, the pre-K classrooms? What are some things that those places might glean from us?
Oh, I really, really wish that those early teachers, that kindergarten through third grade, would spend some time, if they hadn't, in a pre-K, in a early childhood atmosphere, literally coming to a child care center and seeing the work that's done. They could really learn a lot. Granted, they get to start off with their degrees, and in early childhood, you may not. You may come in with a high school diploma, and we're excited that you have your CDA, your Child Development Associate, and we're excited about that, right? But there is such value that happens down here at the bottom that is necessary for all the work that you're going to do in your classrooms in first, second, or third grade. So if you're missing what this teacher is developing here, you miss the whole opportunity to continue to grow the child. And I just feel sometimes there is this lack of respect for the work that is done in the school setting versus what has been done in early childhood. You cannot ignore, you should not ignore the work that has been done at the lower level to give them the student that you actually have right now. You really need to spend some time. The hands-on, we use conscious discipline in our program, the hands-on activities, the interactions, the relationships, and they go from having 2 and 3 teachers in the classroom to just having one. It's a lot that the public schools can learn that what's happening in early childhood settings.
Conscious discipline. Tell us a little bit more about that and what the philosophy is behind that.
I love that you keep catching me on all the acronyms I keep saying. Thank you for bringing the people into the conversation. I'm so sorry.
There's so much to learn.
Yeah. Conscious discipline is work done by Dr. Becky Bailey, who actually I got to talk to on the phone last summer, and I actually cried that she called me. I always feel, since we've been doing that work, that she is like our present day Mary Montessori, our Piaget's. So I'd imagine how they lived in that world with those people. Like, oh my God, like I knew him. But I get to know Dr. Becky Bailey, and it is talking about brain development from children going from survival to emotional to executive. And when we're in executive, we can problem solve. We can make solid decisions. Of course, when we're in survival, we are throwing tantrums. We don't want anyone to talk to us. Don't touch me. And in emotional, I at least start to make that connection. Like, okay, I'm in a safe place. I can now start to kind of pull myself together until I can get to executive and making those decisions. And that work is really sound work. And it's not just so much for children. I've watched our staff grow from being in a conscious discipline training and trying to use skills that they were never taught, never exposed to, and now having to give that to children by telling them to take a deep breath. Before we started today, he said, just take a deep breath. And in my head, I'm saying, I need to take 2 more. You're supposed to really take 3, not just 1. You need 3 so that you can really settle yourself and be okay with what is happening. I knew I was in a safe zone. I knew I was with great people. And now I can make those executive decisions and conversations that I may not have been able to do if I had not learned that conscious discipline skill.
So it's really
so easily.
It's really about knowing about child development and how the brain is working and how the brain is working from before birth all the way through the lifespan.
Yes.
You mentioned your work with the caregivers, with the educators, and let's be real, those folks who are working with our infants and toddlers are brain workers. That's what I call them because they are really helping to shape brain architecture in those first 1,000 days. What are some of the challenges that they face in their work? Those folks who are boots on the ground, practitioners in those early learning spaces.
I love that you call them brain workers. I'm going to take that back today. Thank you very much. I don't know if you have that copy written or anything, so I'm just going to borrow that. What I find in doing this work is our profession has become it can be exhausting, and so it's necessary to teach them how to separate their own life, because they're also in survival and they're coming into spaces and to give to children. What my sister and I often say, you have to inspect what you expect. And so it is making sure that we are spending spaces and time in their classrooms and really supporting them the best way that we know how. Because we also understand, this is why I love the conscious discipline mindset, there are conferences where it's children directed only, but there's always adult conversation infused in those trainings, because they've realized that we come with our own CD-ROM, and hopefully people on the radio station remember a CD-ROM, but we all come with our own backstory, our own back trauma, and how do we release that? And doing that adverse work, we've done some work with Infancy Forward too, and just really looking at what trauma and things that you've experienced in your own life and how that can be impactful and why you make many of the decisions that you make. And so I always say, this is your opportunity to do something different, to turn life around, that even if you didn't get it, it's okay. You acknowledge that you didn't get it. But now what can you do for your own children and the children that you get to impact every day? Give them what you didn't get an opportunity to have, and let's give them a better chance at life and their future and becoming better and sound adults.
That's such important work, and I know the occupation that you have for that is really making a difference, not just for children, but also for those educators who are working so hard, and it is exhausting. They're putting 10,000 steps on, and their voices are gone, and they're singing, and oftentimes considered babysitters. And I wonder if you can respond to that notion of babysitting.
We do not sit on babies. We do not sit on babies. We are not in our programs, there are no televisions. There is activity from the moment they walk in to the moment that they leave. And so we do definitely have to change the mindset of the parent who is coming in and just thinking that this is not Big Ma's house. This is not Grandma's house. This is not where you get to just do whatever you want. We're a school, whether it's operating in a home or it's operating in a center. It may not look like your traditional school setting, as some facilities may not, but work is happening inside those rooms, and teachers are invested. Lesson plans are being done. Documents are being taken. Parent-teacher conferences are being had. And so we are a school, and we're not sitting on babies. We're developing babies. We are growing babies. We are implanting information that they need. We are asking those open-ended questions. We are on the floor. We are doing the work to make sure that their children hopefully have I think my children are better off even now with the things that I knew, but hopefully we are giving them what they need to just be better at whoever they are designed to become.
Lesson plans for babies.
Yes.
What's in a lesson plan for a baby?
One-on-one interaction. What am I doing? Individualized work. What does Mary Jane need, that Tom doesn't need, that Erika doesn't need? And everybody's work is different. You are looking at ages. You are looking at milestones. You are looking at what they should be doing at this age and helping them develop. If a child is not holding up their head, you're making sure that goes in their lesson plan, that you're giving them tummy time. If you have a child who is fearful, you're making sure that in that lesson plan that you're doing activities that to help them overcome that fear, whether that's peekaboo, or whatever you decide to do, but make sure you're developing those relationships. Every child is different. So that it's almost like if you have 6 kids in your classroom, you almost have like 6 lesson plans, because every child doesn't want to hear the same book, have the same experiences, and nor do they need them. So it's individualized work and spending that one-on-one time when everyone else is sleeping and Mary Jane is just up. I'm spending time with you. I'm not just somewhere cleaning and washing toys. I'm giving you that one-on-one time that you need to develop.
I know that Lisa Safe Haven is really just an exemplary program. So congratulations to you and to your sister for that work. What are some ways that the community can support Lisa Safe Haven, your work as an early educator, as an advocate? How can the community get involved in really amplifying the importance of these first 1,000 days?
Oh, that is a good question. I won't just say just for Lisa Safe Haven, because I believe in quality care throughout. I'm grateful to be able to work, like I say, with and for, but for me, it's not just about our program doing well, but all programs doing well. If you hear information, see information, share it with a child care facility, whether you have family members or not who attend there, tell them what's happening in the community. I'm often disappointed disappointed when I go to meetings and I don't see a large crowd in the room, and I'm going, but they have all these questions. Go where the conversations are being had. If you hear of anything, if you see anything, they say, see something, say something, encourage change. People don't realize that they need to do better if someone isn't telling them what that could possibly be. So instead of demeaning me or correcting me, give me a solution to that. What is an outcome, or what is somewhere that I can go and get that help? So I say, if for anything, for any childcare facility, know what's happening in communities, connect people with the right resources. Don't be afraid to share those resources, because there are way too many children in this world for us to be competitive. Let's just be competitive for our children and giving them the great opportunity, not competitive as business owners, but children first. It may sound like a cliche, but children really are first, because if they don't do well, we're going to get older and we're not going to have anybody take care of us.
It's true. We've got to look out for ourselves in that way. Is there anything you want our listeners to know about early childhood education, about the work that you're doing? Anything that I haven't asked you?
I would say to every listener, understand the value of what is happening literally from the time that mother is pregnant until the time that child is born and throughout, and that those first few years, I cannot emphasize how powerful they are and the things that we feed them. If we feed them all the right things, we give them all the right things, they become better at who they are, really literally reading to them and versus playing a device. If anything, put down the computers, put down the tablets, put down the phones, and spend time walking. The saddest thing for me to do is see parents walk down the street and the parents on their phone holding the hand and their child in the other. That is the best time to ask them, how was your day? What did you learn different today? Who did you spend time with? And really developing that language, reading to them every evening, and just front loading them with as much as you can. Don't wait till they're 6 and 7. You have to do it as early as you can.
You must have a favorite children's book or a favorite story that you read.
Ooh.
Or for today, what's your favorite today?
Oh my goodness, that's a hard one, because I've been reading a lot of adult books. And
Adult books, yes. Well, you're always learning, and I admire that about you so much. Thank you for spending time with us today, and keep doing the great work that you're doing.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm very glad to be here. Thank you for the opportunity, and thinking that I can even talk enough to this conversation. Thank you.
Legacy Foundation is Lake County's community foundation. For over 30 years, we've partnered with donors and nonprofits, focusing on youth development, the arts, the environment, health, literacy, and other causes that matter to you. We're committed to Lake County forever. First Things First Porter County is dedicated to supporting families, healthy beginnings, and quality early learning, ensuring every Porter County baby is born prepared for a strong start in life. Learn more at firstthingspc.org.
I have a very strong connection to other students. Everyone makes an effort to help each other. I'll remember the feeling of being here, the feeling that I was a part of a family.
Additional support for Building Blocks is provided generously by Tom Sorlis and Sue Eleuterio, as well as Porter County Community Foundation, serving Porter County since 1996.
Building Blocks, the podcast, is a co-production of Lakeshore Public Media and First Things First Porter County. For more information on Building Blocks, including this podcast, as well as the television show, visit lakeshorepublicmedia.org/buildingblocks.